You ever think about all of the things that God has done to get you ready for what God has for you? We're going to think about that today on Now What Devotions from Trinity Lutheran in Cyrus in Sioux Falls. Yeah. So I'm at a conference here. I've been at a couple of conferences lately. And just like in any profession, it's really important to get together with folks who are thinking about the stuff that goes on in ministry and in the lives of the flock, of our parish, of the world, and how we keep connecting with people. And so I've been doing that work. And I'm in Sioux Falls right now for a couple of days. And there's a golf course right behind. I'm literally... There's the convention center, and I'm at a golf course right next to it, just walking along, taking a break. And I'm looking at the text this week. I'm thinking about it. It's a parable that Jesus tells, of course, of a wedding banquet prepared. And it's a wedding banquet prepared for a son. And all this work is put together, all this hospitality is shared, and nobody wants to come. Have you had that experience? I'm sure you have, where you've prepared for something, prepared for people, and maybe it wasn't appreciated, or maybe nobody showed up. Boy, I had that experience as a youth director. The number of times I put together events, and as a pastor too. You put together event after event, and people might come, they might not. Or what they receive there and what you thought you were offering, what they receive might be different depending on how people interacted with them, right? I think for those of you who worship with us online, I'm thinking really hard right now about how we improve that experience and make sure that when you are with us online, you are as much worshiping as when you are with us in person. Those are not to be fundamentally different because we all have different situations. But the question I would ask of you today is, considering like a golf course here, there's a lot of work here just to make it a space where people can play the game of golf or be with their family or do things together. And then right behind me, there's a building being torn down. That's being prepared for something else. And I wonder, how have you been prepared by God for those things that God would say to you? I'm in the middle of applying for a doctoral program, and I feel like things have gone well and are going well with our congregation. And in rural ministry, that's not always the case. And I want to have a wider venue to be able to share what all you keep teaching me at Trinity. I want to be able to share that with others as well. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. But I'm thinking about, how do we share what we're learning as a congregation with the wider world and with our community so that others can benefit? And there's a lot of preparation work that's going to take. And some of that's work I've got to do, some of that's work the congregation will do. But like, I look at this golf course, that drain over there I was just peeking at. If that drain wasn't there, this golf course wouldn't work. If we didn't prepare ourselves, both like functionally, logistically, if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't set up a rhythm in our lives to be able to hear, if we're not in a healthy place or in a relational place where we're in touch with the faithful, if we're not contacting Scripture, if we're not, reflecting on all these things, how is it that we will hear what God has for us, or will we miss it? And I think that's a real possibility. I think the devil's primary strategy in our culture, and I think the devil has very different strategies in different places, and we see that. And if you talk to colleagues from around the world, I often hear such a different variety of stories. But by our cultural context, one of the devil's absolutely favorite strategies is distraction. It's so effective. So I wonder, are there ways that God has been opening you up? Are there ways that God, there's a theme that's been running through the things you keep noticing? Are there places where maybe God has something to say to you and you've been avoiding it or you haven't been paying attention? How might you be prepared? And what work has God done to get you ready? The last thing I'll share with you today is, I think it's really important to remember as a person of faith that God has invested an awful lot in you. God has been present with you. God has loved you, has offered you help, support, care, comfort, blessing, people in your life. I think that's really important to keep in mind, the amount of time that God has been present in your life, even if you don't always see it. I wonder if we always consider how deeply invested God is in us, because it's real easy for us not to be invested in our faith life, right? It's real easy to set it aside, but God sent his son. God has been there every step of the way from the second you first breathed until now, and will be there at the second you last breathe, and then we'll be with you for the rest of it. God's invested. God desperately seeks us, wants to save us. How might you do a small bit to respond and to listen and look and be open to that? I'm Pastor Chris from Trinity Lutheran in Cyrus in Sioux Falls on a golf course, signing off for now.